I wish to thank the President of the Council of the Agency for Prevention of Corruption of Montenegro for the statement just made. I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of Uzbekistan to introduce an address by a high-level official.
Madam President, I have the honor to introduce a pre-recorded statement of His Excellency A.Бурханов, Director of the Anti-Corruption Agency of the Republic of Uzbekistan.
Your Excellency Mr. Volkan Bozkir, President of the United Nations 75th Session, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor and pleasure to participate in the special session of the General Assembly on challenges and measures to prevent and combat corruption and strengthen international cooperation, and delighted to inform you on anti-corruption reforms in the Republic of Uzbekistan. And in this regard, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the General Assembly of the United Nations for organizing this session and bringing together all the key bodies and organizations of the entire global community. We all know that corruption hampers the attainment of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, increases transnational crimes and infringes on personal freedom and human rights, as well as severely impedes the dynamism of the global economy. At present, Uzbekistan has entered a new phase of an anti-corruption reforms with the adoption of a presidential decree in June last year, aimed at improving the effectiveness of public policies on preventing and combating corruption in all spheres of society and the states. The decree provides for the establishment of a new anti-corruption agency in accordance with the Article 6 of the United Nations Convention against Corruption and sets ambitious goals to develop necessary legislation for the state anti-corruption policy. The agency is a specially authorized state body responsible for the formation and implementation of state policy to prevent and combat corruption within the country. First step in current reforms is gradual introduction of an international anti-corruption control system, compliance control, in all state organizations in accordance with international standards. This system will effectively regulate issues on integrity, conflict of interest, ensuring openness and transparency, issues of public procurement, assessment of corruption risks in activities of all state organizations. I must note that as for today, system has been introduced in 26 state organizations, and 5 state organizations has been already certified with ISO international certificate. Methodology of a rating assessment of the anti-corruption activities of state bodies and level of corruption in state bodies and regions of Uzbekistan has been developed and in stage of discussion with relevant authorities. Thus, from 2022, agency will assess and publish the rating of level of corruption in state bodies as well as in regions of Uzbekistan. At the same time, a system of anti-corruption training for civil servants is being developed in cooperation with international organizations, which will be aimed at increasing the literacy on anti-corruption measures and integrity principles in civil service. As for development of cooperation with civil society organizations, Uzbekistan, in cooperation with UNODC, UNDP, and other international partners, is working on greater involvement of civil society institutions in anti-corruption activities. In particular, several events were carried out to develop a platform for interaction between state bodies and NGOs for the effective implementation of the provisions of the UN Convention Against Corruption. Finally, taking into account the transnational nature of corruption offenses, Uzbekistan supports the initiatives put forward by its Chinese counterparts, in particular the further promotion of legal assistance for corruption offenses and the improvement of the global system of asset recovery and extradition of perpetrators of corruption offenses. At the end of my speech, I would like to highlight that Uzbekistan is open for any international initiatives and supports practical anti-corruption cooperation based on international legal norms and bilateral treaties. Thank you all for your attention, joining to this principal conference and sharing your thoughts on facilitating effective combat with this negative phenomenon.
I wish to thank the Director of the Anti-Corruption Agency of Uzbekistan for the statement just made. I now give the floor